Hola, hola. You may be muted. No, you're not. You
I'm not.
unmute.
I am muted. I lost my glasses, so I have to just sit here without glasses. But
How you guys doing?
Doing good yourself?
I'm doing all right.
Glad to hear.
Doing all right.
Thank you for your messages. They're always, it's just beautiful to have and go to and like always maintain like just being in the moment, like reading through those. So I greatly appreciate them.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate you reading them. They're for me, so I just send them out, and I'm like, all right, God, I'll send them out. So
yeah, thank you. I like them too. They're really nice.
you're welcome. I love you guys. Alexa, pause. I had my meditation music, and it was really loud. I was in a Zen moment, so.
Well, I feel the love from you, Sarah, so appreciate it.
Well, I always feel it from you too. What's going on this week? What do you want to work on this week?
Yeah, I don't know. I was feeling into stuff. You guys have anything come up over this past week? Anything from visionary breakthrough? Any breakthroughs, personal breakthroughs, or?
Well, there's always a lot.
Do we want to do a little check-in real quick and feel into maybe if there's a common theme, and then go from that space, and we can riff off of that?
Yeah, sure.
You wanna, whoever wants to go first, it will give me a moment to feel into what I had over this last week.
Well, what's coming up for me is like um overwhelmment, disorder, chaos. I lost my glasses this morning, early this morning, and I was looking for them. I've been looking for them. I even used a pendulum to try and find them, and no luck. So I feel like I'm all scatterbrained, and papers are everywhere, notebooks are everywhere. I have like notebooks for so many different subjects. And my intention was to organize today, just like, oh, I need to get organized because like order is like heaven's first law or something like that. So I'm like, okay, because you need to organize so that you can kind of like start fresh and everything then kind of has this flow, after that. But I have been able to because I became more disorganized when I lost my glasses. And I'm like frustrated because I usually need those glasses to do everything I'm doing. So that's where I'm at. I feel like overwhelmed, chaotic, frustrated, and I'm not sure how to try to surrender, but I'm praying the angels. Like usually it's funny because usually when I lose something, I'll ask the angels for help and they'll help me find it. But not today. So I don't know what's going on. So that's kind of where I'm at.
You have anything similar there, Sarah?
I have a pile of laundry on my couch right now that I have to get to, so I'm organizing as well. But I just found out the other day that a girl in middle school that we didn't really get along. I was bullied in middle school a lot, and so this woman, she had come to my house and um, we had gotten into a fight. Her and my sister did because she told my mom to go in the house and her fat ass in the house to go eat more popcorn. And so my sister decided to beat her up. But I have this soft spot in my heart because she had passed away 2 days ago. She was murdered in her house, and so was her husband. And she has two twin boys. We have a lot of mutual friends, and I was over that a long time ago. But it just kind of brought up I guess, domestication and domestic violence and like things for me, because what was crazy was that day I was feeling energy a lot, and I was going through a really big situation at my house with my husband, and he had suicidal ideation, and he basically was talking about like, oh, it'll just be easy if I just grab my gun and you know, shoot himself. And that day was the day that she had passed. So I don't know if that, like, I don't know, I kind of got on myself a little bit about staying in situations that I know that aren't good for me, and still feeling like I have to be here for my children. There's just like so many overwhelming dynamics with all of this stuff that's happened. And I just feel for her boys. I feel for the families. And I don't know all the dynamics of what happened, but I don't know. It's been a whirlwind of things that are happening. And everything in my body is telling me like, take care of you right now. Like you can't do anything unless you take care of yourself. And I don't want to leave my family, but I feel like that's also another thing that I have to do. And I don't know, it's just really weird. So that's what I got going on.
And I don't know, do you have something to say, Stephen, about what's going on with Sarah? Because I was gonna say something, but I
No,
can wait.
go ahead. I do have somebody. Go ahead and take the lead, and I'll follow up.
All right. What's coming to me, about, I guess, sort of, because like you're reflecting my situation from a few years ago. I feel like I could feel that, because when I was in my marriage, my whole world was falling apart. So there was like a lot of stuff during that marriage that happened. I mean, I pretty much lost my kids temporarily anyway. Well, I gave up custody of my son, then I left New York. My daughter was with her dad there, and I was constantly going back and forth to court. I was helping my ex with some stuff because he had a criminal record, so I was trying to help the underdog, and there's just so much stuff on his end that I was trying to help him with, and then there were like these deaths that happened. My father passed away, and then my daughter came to Maryland. Her father passed away. I had a step grandson who passed away from cancer. His nephew passed away. Like all these deaths, and I just felt like meltdown after meltdown. Like toward the end of my marriage, I felt like I was falling apart, literally like imploding from the inside or something. And so I had listened to something from Carol DeRay. She's a law of attraction teacher from years ago, and it was called Falling Apart and Falling Back Together Again. So I remember I felt like it resonated with me because I felt like this was my falling apart moment. This was my dark night of the soul moment, or moments, or whatever time that I was having, because I felt like, yeah. And so she mentioned something about when things start falling apart in your environment, everything starts falling apart. Even things like material, like your dryer or your car. That's the sign that you are meant to move, and you're meant to move out of that situation and go to your next. It's like you're growing so much that you're being pushed out of that situation. You have no other choice but to get out of that situation, because that's your next evolutionary step. Because once things fall back together, you'll see that they reorganize themselves in a much more beautiful way. So that's kind of what happened to me. I was kind of pushed out, like ejected, like I can't take this any longer, like meltdowns, and like all these things are happening to me. And that's how I saw it anyway. But then I realized, looking back on it, they were happening for me, right? Because then when I left, it was like everything made sense. Not right after I left, but maybe after like a few months went by, 3 or 4 months, everything just started making sense. Like I was meant to go through that and come out and reorganize my life again, even though I was resisting it, because this is the fourth or fifth time I'm having to reinvent myself, because I've been in situations where I've had fallen apart before, and then, you know, reorganize myself, fall apart, you know, like relationship or career, whatever. And then like New York, the kids, just, so this one was like the lowest point, because I was just, it was just so heart-wrenching, everything I went through. I hit complete rock bottom. I'm like, I know I need to, there's something calling me to just get out of this situation and reassess my life. And so sometimes you just need time to be on your own, to reassess your life, and just so that you can think clearly. Because when you're in the middle of the mess and all these messes, you're not able to think clearly. So that's what I have for you.
That was
Thank you for that.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I did a little live video a moment ago on the Facebook group, and it was losing oneself. That was what it was based around. And it speaks directly to what you were saying, Sophia, with the falling apart to come back together again aspect. Is that, you know, we layer these different things of life on top of us, and then we layer so much that we forget the true essence of what it is. And that falling apart and the chaos in the magnetic terms or law of attraction, you know, it's like, all right, now your being start to repel and create this chaos, the magnets being forced apart, um, and creating that so you can get back to your true essence. And I go back to my car accident, like I, it was,
Are you recording this?
it is recording, yes.
Okay.
It was, thank you for that. It allowed me to get down to the basis of, you know, who I was, and allowed me to take a look like, all right, I could be dead. So how would this scene be playing out if I wasn't even here? You know, and I observe it, and then how can I create within this space at that same moment? Like what power do I have in the creation of what's going on here? If I don't like it, I have the ability to affect it, change it in one way or another, whether it be leaving, if that's what the universe is telling me to do, or love's telling me to do. But yeah, losing everything to be able to start from that space. And actually goes to the line yesterday in the song when I said, like, just in that second verse about,
Your heart was broken?
yeah, the heart is broken, but that's the first step for it to be open.
Yeah, I love that.
So yeah, that just resonated when you were speaking too. I was like, damn, we just did that yesterday, actually.
Yeah.
Like, get down to the base level of everything again and get to, really it goes back to the foundation. Like, all right, the foundation of ourselves, what is our true essence? And then make sure that that foundation doesn't have any cracks or holes in it, and be able to build from that space again. Because really all this stuff has been built from, you know, a foundation that was really created by somebody else in the essence of the domestication and such. So it's not even our true foundations that we're building on, and they're all crumbly anyway, you know. So really dropping back into, that space, just to be able to lay that foundation that you want to lay and build from there. So yeah, the chaos and stuff kind of comes from that as well. Like, not having a good foundation, you're trying to keep the walls and stuff on, when it's saying, hey, just let it all go. Just let it fall down, because you need to build a better foundation anyway. Damn.
Yeah, amen.
Yeah. I feel that it's just that I feel like there's just so many things that I don't want to leave my kids, you know, and right now they're going through such a hard time, and it's like, what do I
Can you
do?
take them with you? You can't take them with you?
No.
No? Why not?
No. One, I don't have a job. I'm not making money because I have to take my daughter to and from school. Only a parent can take her. And she also has therapy appointments and different things that I take her to. And my schedule doesn't allow me to do any jobs right now. Just that's just what it is. And my husband has been very financially abusive. I don't touch them. And he gives me like $100 a week, and that's to go grocery shopping. So that's what I get to do. And
Mhm.
there's just a lot. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of things going on. So I wouldn't be able to take my kids right away because I would need to establish that and get my feet up there, you know, which I'm already doing. I already put in applications. I told my husband, I'm like, look, like I need help, and I'm going to get help from this and whatever we got to do, because I can't keep on taking the back seat on a lot of things. And this also would help all of our situations, because I don't want my daughter or my son not to get into something that they're proud of, you know? And I'm like, it's constant rehabilitation or something that we're having to like, you know, go back and fix. And I'm like, I don't want that anymore for them or for myself. It's just very draining and taxing on all of our hearts. And it's just a lot to deal with.
Is he willing to give you financial assistance, or how are you going
No.
about that? No. Are you,
So I
What
have
if-
to get a job. So I'm trying to get a job, but I told him, I'm like, look, like I'm gonna need help the other way then. You're gonna have to take Kira to and from school at times, and I'm gonna need help that way.
have you thought of going to court? I'm not sure if that's the best solution, but for you, have you thought of it?
Uh, I've thought of it, but it's not something that I want to do because I know what the courts do, and it didn't work in my favor the last time. And that's what I'm rehabilitating with my daughter right now. And, you know, she had come back from being abused by her father, her biological dad. And that was 4 years ago. And she hasn't talked to him or seen him, but it was like he tried to kill everyone in the house. And so I don't trust the court systems at all, because he had an active restraining order on what he did to her, and they still gave him custody, which it blew my mind. It absolutely blew my mind. There were things that I did as well. I was working 75-hour work weeks, and I told the courts, I'm like, I kept my daughter home because I missed her. Yeah, she missed a couple of days from school. I missed my kids. I didn't get to see them, you know? And I'm like, so there's a lot of things that I did as well, that went against the grain, I guess, of what the courts liked. And so I don't really like the courts. I just don't.
Now they like to be in the middle of that and steer.
Yeah, when you don't have two people that are trying to be cordial or cooperate, you know, like they'll take the reign.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, it's
Wait, we can't hear you. Your volume.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it just they'll take the reins and they'll dictate whichever one is going to be, you know, best for them. And it was a lot. That was a big, huge adventure that really scarred my heart, and I opened up to that. I've even tried to help him and his wife and kids as well, and it's interesting how things have played out. And now it's just like I'm ready for love. Like I am so done with chaos and like trying to heal or you know what I mean? Like it's like we're already at this place where I'm like, I'm done trying to clean up messes, you know? I want to get back to the fun and play.
And it's hard if you're still trying to hold up walls on this crumbling foundation, which it feels like you are, like trying to still like keep stuff together, and not allowing it
I'm
to
gonna
necessarily
get
fall.
out and then come back in because I can't hear you guys. So I'm gonna be right
It may,
back.
it may actually be mine because we had a wire get chopped, so I'm
Can you
running
hear
off.
me? Can you hear me?
I can.
I can't. It's me.
Okay.
It's me because somebody tried calling me. And so whenever it does that, like I can't hear after that. So I'll be right back.
Okay.
Yeah. From mess to message.
Yeah. Yeah.
From many messes to many messages.
We all have our mess to
Yeah.
message.
Can you,
Much
you?
better.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, much, much better. I like the line that what's coming through for me is that line, falling apart to fall back together again,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Mhm. Yeah, because it's, before I heard that, I mean, when I heard it, I was like, in my mind, I was like, what is that? Like, then I started like thinking more deeply about it. Like, it makes sense. Like, I never, thought about it that way. And I learned that while I was in my marriage. And then I started thinking more and more about how I was like, why is everything falling apart? Things are breaking in the house. The washing machine's breaking, like the car needs fixed, like everything's falling apart. That's because our marriage is like falling apart and everything around me is falling apart. So why not? It's like, tra- translating into the other stuff too. Like it's so I don't know. It made sense to me. I'm like, okay. So that's kind of what I started seeing my life as. Like, okay, I need it. My life needs to fall apart in order to fall back into place again in a much better way, in a much, more organized way, or I guess the next step of my evolutionary process, because what's interesting is when I decided to take that step and have complete faith, because I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do it. I mean, I left there with $200. I wanted nothing from him as far as he was trying to dangle money and different things. And I just want nothing to do with it. So I was like, okay, how am I going to do this? But I just found a way. And then the next step showed up and the next step showed up. And I didn't know where I was going to live. I had burnt some bridges with my mother because he isolated me. Well, I chose it, but, and so I had to kind of get into good graces with my mother again, and then, stay with her, start like, I would say, uh, what's the word I'm looking for? But I kind of had to work on our relationship again, like repairing it. I kind of had to be humble. I reached out to all my friends and I apologized to all of them. Like I was under this spell. I'm just so deeply sorry. I mean, even though, sorry, but whatever, in hindsight, sorry, but I reached out to everybody, even though I felt like I wanted to be right and about the situation with my marriage, wanted to be right, but I felt like, would I rather be right or would I rather be happy? What was my definition of happiness? My definition of happiness was to reconnect with my loved ones, my family, my friends, start feeling healthy again, eating what I wanted to eat, exercise when I want, get a job if I want, the job that I want to get. Like I hardly drove when I was with him. And I loved driving because he didn't want me to drive. I'm like, how, how limiting is that? I don't know. So I remember when I was driving for Lyft, I'm like, oh my God, I'm having so much fun. I'm driving everywhere. I'm meeting so many people. It was just like, wow, I'm having a time of my life here. But it's like the contrast, like complete contrast, complete opposite. And then it's like, wow, complete freedom. But I'm not, I know my situation is probably a little different than yours. I'm not sure if you feel isolated, or were isolated, or are isolated. But that's
I moved 5 years ago, almost 6 years ago, from California to Texas with him, with no family, no friends, only his mom and his dad, who, quite frankly, we see differently. Let's just put it that way. I love them very much, but we just see differently. And I also grew and I also changed. So I think that with me changing so much, it has sparked a lot of, I guess, turmoil in our relationships, because I used to take a lot of the stuff, like words, and I just let it slide. I'd always allow like certain people to just treat me certain ways. And once I started doing this work, like I started to speak up for myself, and they're like, "Oh, whoa, we can't talk to mom that way. We can't talk to Sarah that way anymore." And all of a sudden they're just, it's a lot, you know? And I didn't even realize half of the stuff that I was, taking, to be honest with you. And now it's like, I'm like so fed up with that, that it's like, all right, what am I going to do about it? You know, and without like feeling like I'm leaving Zach with my children to, you know, while I can see that he's also needing help, and I can't leave my kids with somebody who also needs help, we all do. And it's like, I don't know, I just feel very conflicted with certain things. And I've picked up and left 5 times with this man. 17 and a half years we've been together, and I've always had to pick up and be the one that left. So this wouldn't be the first time that I've done this. And it's not something new. And I always know that I could do it on my own, because I did it. I always made it on the other side. It wasn't about that. The only thing that I did differently was I spiraled downwards when I left rather than went up. I decided to like not care about my body and relationships and have sex all the time with different people. I did drugs, alcohol. I'd work my ass off, and just buried myself in work. And so it was a spiral downwards in that area. And this time I'm like, that's not going to work for me, and I can't even stand it here in my house, like there's certain things I just, like food, I can't eat. I don't want anything that has to do with anything that doesn't have health anymore. And recognizing that, wanting that for my body and my space, like seeing the kids and him doing it, it's,
That doesn't have what? Did you say health?
yeah, health. Yeah. Like it's not
Okay.
healthy, because my husband's an alcoholic. He drinks every day. He drinks about an 18-pack a day every night, and so and they're also taking pills, like medicine for their mental state, and I just don't feel like they're here cognitively at all. Like you can't have conversations with them. You have any deep type of conversations with them, unless it's like surface level and it's like, oh, how was your day? And, oh, it was good. Like those are the kind of conversations that we have, or like, oh yeah, I talked to this person, and oh this and oh that. And it's like, I don't want to hear about gossip. I don't want to, like, my body reacts differently. I'm like, my body reacts differently now. And it's like, we can talk about like how we can progress, and there's a way to talk about things or talk about people. But it's like, I don't know. I love them so much. And I'm like, we can get through this together, and we can talk about it differently rather than trying to talk shit, and it's just, it's tough. It's really tough.
So I resonate with you big time, Sarah, and I disagree with you on one part that you spoke to, and that was the leaving aspect. Like you can't leave your kids with somebody that needs help also, because that was basically the decision I made to leave Melissa and my kids, and I did it with the feeling that I could go and not see them ever again. And you have to get to that space to be able to do it, but also, and to leave the kids, that makes space for you and your ex, or it gives you space to really get into the light that you are. And what I've seen now is like, I'm finally, so we started this off with talking about chaos, and I feel like I'm on the other side of that. Like I'm getting pretty much to the other side of that now, where I've created channels for myself, now for my kids, for my routine within the village, trying to come up with these leadership you know, aspects that I want to step into, and it's not completely there, and it's taken 8 months of being at the village, you know, the whole time, like working and being about this stuff and cutting cut back the BS so I could figure out what I needed to work on and progress and what was missing to create those spaces for me so I could be a light that my kids would then come to and want to follow that light and be a be a part of that light. I was in the exact same boat where it was thinly veiled conversations. Everybody was on their phones. Like nobody interacts. And I was like, this is the exact opposite of what I had envisioned with a family. This is the exact opposite. So if it's the exact opposite, like anything that I do at this moment would be probably a change in the better, especially if I'm doing it for myself and to make myself better. And I'm aware of that. I'm conscious of that. So out of the people here, who's going to be the one to make that decision and make that change? And I knew that it was on me. Otherwise, it would have just gone down and been a chaotic mess that continued, and we would have been sticking together for the family for all this domesticated bullshit reasons. And I'm having none of that. So if nothing else, I'm going to choose myself and make myself better, knowing that they will also have their sovereign decisions to be able to choose if they want to come down this light and follow the light that I am, or follow a different path. And the only thing that I can do is be the brightest light of love, that every time that they come and visit the village, every time that they come here to be a part of this, all they're getting is love. And it's come to a space now that they want to be here more. They don't want to be on their iPads. They want to participate with people, and they want to. My daughter was calling me up. We just got 50 little chickens, which obviously is going to touch all the love strings on any kid. But we got 50 little chicks, and my daughter's calling me up. I want to come up and spend some time with you and to hang out with the chickens and take care of them, because that's what she was doing with the other chicken. Like, she just has so much love and knows that she can express that here now, and knows that she can go to that space which she never was able to before. And like, to be a part of this, and now it's not just my light is being fused with the other 15 people's lights here, that everybody is like holding that space for the kids to be themselves and not cover up with, like, not just cover up, but they want to be involved in what's going on here. And it took some time, but in the grand scheme of stuff, 8 months compared to the rest of our lives, even creating generational shifts. I mean, that 8 months is freaking nothing, is nothing in the grand scheme of all of this. And I would surrender, sacrifice, whatever, over and over again for that, to be that light of love. And I was doing it for myself and for others that wanted to, and I'm glad that my children are choosing this. I'm glad that Melissa's choosing this now too. And it, like, just because of that, like, there's this, it's starting to be a little funnel of people and family, and ones that I did care about based off of old programs, based off of an old foundation. But it took me surrendering to brightening up my own light first, and actually washing all the stuff that I thought I had right away, and starting with that foundation and creating a new foundation that I could build rock solid from the stuff that I wanted to do consciously. And that's just what's allowed, like, this shift that is going on. And it's really, I've seen it like
How did you get into the
exponentially.
village?
How did I get here? I was putting on events so I did have one thing, was that I was living in Costa Rica, which a lot of people don't have. So I was already down here, but I was putting on Family Fridays, and my purpose for putting on these events was to meet different families and different people within the community. So I had an intention in doing that. And then so I'm Kirk being a drummer, he heard me playing music, came over and we just jammed. Like he would come out almost every Friday and jam. And we had just conversations and like one-on-one conversations compared to being in the leadership program and stuff. It was a more personal connection than most people do have with Kirk. And so that was kind of that was the start of it. And then I took my time to figure out because I've known what my purpose is in the greater scheme of things. So it did make it easier for me to walk away from my kids and stuff because I've known what my purpose is. I just didn't have the community around to help support that. And there's no way that we can do it without having that community around.
That's what I'm faced with right now.
So
And
you were
that's the biggest
speaking.
thing for me is that I want to move to the village, but there's finances and resources and things like that that I'd have to get together, that I feel like I have to get together first because I just don't have that. I don't have family or friends around me at all. You know, it's always on Zoom and with Earthwaking, you know. So
Well, I don't know exactly what you're specifically talking to, but I saw how much love that you got last Wednesday from everybody within the Greatness I See in You thing.
yeah,
And
it's mostly on Zoom. And I have the girls here. I do meditation things here, but I'm talking about like a community that's wanting to head in the same purpose and the same vision and the same direction. That's right here, you know. It's just that's not what I have. I
and
have that
it's going to be
in
few and
Costa
far
Rica.
between,
I have
especially in the
that, you
state.
know what I mean?
Well, I don't know if you were specifically talking about this village or creating a village there. Then I got a little confused there. Were you?
Well, I want to go to the village because I want to learn how to build villages, you know. I want to travel. I want people to know about this information. I've known that. I know that that's my purpose for quite some time. And I want to travel singing and playing music and giving people this information about how to build these communities. Like that was my vision. That's been my vision for a long time. I've just didn't have the money and didn't have the people like to go do it with me. You know, I have all of the information, I have the wisdom, I have the want and the desire to do it. It's just can't do it. I didn't want to do it alone.
Well, that's what this is about, is relationships. That's what this existence is about. Otherwise, none of this would have been created because the creator, God, would have been fine just by himself with nothing else created to look at.
Yeah.
So that's perfect because that's like my purpose as well, is to do that same thing and take my message on the road if it is allotted when that time and space comes. And I feel like we had a similar conversation, Sophia, at one point in time about that. So part of what I want to do is create a music tour here in Costa Rica, just since this is the hub for, and then translate that over to the States, you know, if when the time is right for it. So that's
Yeah. Yeah, I know it's funny, but I've envisioned that too. It's like a little fantasy of mine. I didn't know, but you know, doing music at some point too, like performing. But I guess where'd she go?
I think she was doing something and left.
Um, maybe she'll come back. So
she's here.
yeah, I was gonna say, I was very, for the time that when COVID happened, and everybody was on lockdown, and I was on unemployment. By miracle, I was on unemployment because I was an Uber and Lyft driver, so that was like, I didn't even know I would be on unemployment, but it happened to be, I had the circumstances to be able to be on unemployment because where I was working, the students, everybody was gone, and I couldn't even go to the next town, and I was in lockdown. So anyway, but I got very immersed into the truth movement because I guess I just wanted to know a lot of information to the point where I could feel at peace with it. And so I've been fantasizing about going to these different tours, like truth tours, like, and some of them are spiritual based, some are more, some are politically based, but a lot of the people in the truth movement I was following, I kind of resonated with a few of them. And the people that I resonated with seem to be on a spiritual path of awakening. So I kind of was, because some of them are like very low cost or free, and some of them are like in different areas. But I've been wanting to go to a truth tour, and I was fantasizing about like going to one of these tours and giving somebody my CD, or like, in the future, but, or like, the song or something, because, it's usually a spiritual theme that happens in these truth tours, because it's all about the awakening, right? So a lot of the speakers talk about the Great Awakening. And so anyway, so that was just one of my little thoughts that I thought, well, I can maybe go to the truth tour and, meet some people and bring some songs and see what would happen. Because these events have like thousands of people that show up. But it's just like a little fantasy. I'm not sure where that would go or if it would even happen, but yeah, there are lots of groups. I feel like by following the truth movement, there's a lot of grassroots movements happening here in the States. It's been happening now for a while. And a lot of boots on the ground. And that's the reason why I feel the whole COVID thing got squashed and all the vaccines, there's no vaccine requirement anymore, like even to travel. And so like I've been following it, and because I've been following a lot of it, I've been seeing how there's so many organizations like boots on the ground fighting, fighting in a different way than we are. We are fighting with the sword of love, but they're fighting, with, just being, like, I don't know if to say angry mode, but they're just, but anyway, I feel like a lot of progress has been made in that regard. So, because I feel like if that hadn't happened, all these boots on the ground on the lower level, like, I feel like we could have had a way different outcome. So.
Yeah, when you're saying fighting, that because they're saying us versus them still more or less, and when that's the case, it's always a conflict. We're being the love instead. Is that
Yeah,
going with that?
I feel like I wanted to go in that direction. Like I was starting to go in that direction, like fighting for justice, fighting for, I want to join a militia. I was just joking, but I have a friend of mine invited me to a gun range and to practice, like, because the people's movement was like about having guns and all that. And something just kept saying, a little voice in my head was like, I don't think this is meant for me to learn how to use a gun, And then a friend of mine, she's a good friend of mine, she gave me a reading, and she said, well, because she reads into past lives and stuff. She said, in your past lives, you've had a bunch of them where you were like a warrior and head of a battalion and stuff like that. But in this life, you're meant to fight with the sword of love, sort of light, sort of love, light, whatever, sort of light. So it resonated with me, what she said, because that's when, right after that reading is when I bumped into earth waking. Because I was kind of a little bit in fight mode, kind of like, we the people, and I just had a different energy about me, like, wanting to fight, but like with conviction, like, let's start a group, let's whatever, like, let's show people, let's give people information so that they're aware and what's going on and all that kind of stuff. But then I bumped into We're Earth Waking, and I kind of calmed down because I didn't like how it made me feel being in that angst mode of like, it kind of made me feel anxious. So, when I joined Earth Waking, it really calmed me down. Like, what am I doing?
Yeah. I was the same way, Sophia. It's because we want to stop something from happening all the time. We're like, stop doing this, stop. Like, no, please don't. And so we try to do something to make them stop rather than do something with purpose to drive somebody in a different direction. And
Yes.
so yeah. And I'm still doing that partially. I'm going to be honest. I'm still doing that with my family. I'm like, please just stop. Like, there's another way. We can do it this way.
Because you're more emotionally involved with your family.
Yeah, hugely. And it's because I care and it's because I love. And that's just what people are in. That's why we do what we do. And now thank you, Stephen, for your message today. I really needed to hear what you said. And I'm glad that you disagreed with me because now I agree with you that it is okay to, do what you're called to do. And I'm just terrified. I think I'm terrified about, how they're going to be when I leave again. That's a big one. And it's really hard because I know that they need God. They don't need me. And that's the big one. I keep stepping in the way.
And when
And
we
I'm
try
trying
to,
to, I'm just trying to let God do what he
Yeah.
needs to do with me. And so they can see it,
Well,
and
you're
it's easy.
wanting to be in control of it.
which is playing God, which doesn't
Yeah.
work.
Yeah. Oh, I know it doesn't work.
And they
Oh,
are teenagers, right? So they're not little children.
yeah. I have a 20-year-old here. I have two 14-year-olds and I have an 11-year-old, a 12-year-old. He just turned 12.
And you could be in a situation where they could visit you, right? I mean, unless you're in Costa Rica, but
If they want to, and if they're if I leave, I don't know if I'd be allowed to.
Oh, so if you were to leave, you wouldn't be allowed to see your kids?
I'm pretty sure of that. Yeah.
I had those same threats put on me.
Yeah, it's big. And to be honest with you right now, because of what's happened with my daughter and her biological father, I forgave him and she hates me for it. And it's been a battle with her for a long time because she feels like it's my fault for telling him that that was her birth father, like, and that because I forgave him, I didn't protect her. And I said, honey, you just don't understand. I'm like, it doesn't mean that I accept his behavior. I'm like, forgiveness was for me, not to hate and not to, do all this, because I'm like, it's half of you. And if I didn't forgive him, you would never, ever have the opportunity to love half of yourself. It was a really rough one because everything in my body wanted me to, actually kill this person for what he did to my child. And God asked me to forgive. And it was really, I don't even think that I was the one who forgave. I think God was the one who forgave in my heart and said, no, I'm doing this. I'm taking over right now, and so I don't even think that I did that. I just, it was just the beginning of that. And it's just been really rough with her because she just doesn't understand. And I get that. I get that. That's just what we're all going through. We're trying to lean on our own understanding rather than what's really happening here, And so it's just, I guess I worry about what will happen, a lot. And that's not good. I know that that's not good because God's got them, but it's still something that I do, it's just my feelings about it. I worry about what will happen.
That's part of the parenting way of things, especially from a mother's point of view. And I think
Yeah.
that's a harder domestication aspect of it shifting from old world to new world where we're sovereign and can make sovereign decisions, and kids are sovereign, but there's also a part of them that have been programmed not to be sovereign, and that's, you know, that ends up creating these codependent relationships that you're holding up walls that uh, you don't even want to hold up, but you feel you have to hold up out of love. And you know, holding that stuff up, I don't really feel is love. Like it appears as such, but it's, again, in the grander scheme of things, and you look at it, it's not love. It's perpetuating the same chaos for this next generation. It's perpetuating that the same stuff that you're going through right now. It's allowing them to see that this is what life is potentially. You know, this is what my mom's going through, and she's doing. This is what she's doing about it. Nothing. I mean, in essence, and not making a real shift in that regards.
Yeah, I was gonna say leading by example.
It was tough for me. Like, it was difficult, and I feel like I was probably put in one of the better situations to be able to make that shift from different, you know, various things that have happened in my life. And I wouldn't, because of that, like, I do want to be the leader that has gone first and be able to show that this path, you know, it may be difficult for, it may be difficult for 8 months, it may be difficult for 3 years, and if you, it may be difficult the rest of your life. And you know, by being that, it gives them the ability to see that they can make their own sovereign decisions too. So even if you don't have them in your life, they saw that you made a decision to shift your life. And that's what I was able to do for my kids. And now, again, I feel like I'm seeing a turn in them where they're shifting their lives, getting up, becoming more responsible for themselves and how they feel and how they want to feel, and choosing likewise. And that's, again, their own sovereign choice. And what better feeling as a parent that my 8-year-old's choose, you know, making choices based off of how she's feeling and able to go with those and be responsible for them. We
I'm
did
really
a,
glad that that's happening for you, Stephen. I left a year ago. I tried to leave a year ago. Um, and when I did, I left for 3 months and I didn't think I was ever going to come back. But CPS called me, and my husband was allowing my daughter at 13 years old to have a 15-year-old boyfriend stay at my house, and they were abusing each other. And they basically told me if I didn't come back that CPS was going to get involved and take my children. And so that's what made me come back. And so I'm afraid. I'm really afraid of what will happen. Um, yeah. So that's why I feel stuck in ways. And I wish that I hope and I pray that it turns out for the better, like what you're going through, Stephen. I just don't know. It didn't work out for me the last time, you know?
feel that. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I was gonna say, can't imagine what you're going through. That you must be in like a big dilemma about it. I just think, I guess prayer, meditation will be the best solution, I guess, but I'm sure you do that, so.
Every day. Every day. And God tells me what I just haven't been listening, you know? And I'm still like trying to hold on, I guess.
So
And
what's God telling you to do?
leave. He wants me to leave. I'm supposed to go to Costa Rica. I'm supposed to be there. And soon. And if I don't act soon, I know that it could be a choice to where I won't even be able to. I already know that. Because of what's happening I already know like a lot of things that are happening, that are going to happen. And it terrifies the fuck out of me, because if I leave my kids and my husband, what kind of person am I? And knows that that's going on. And so I get these conflicting things that go on, and I just keep asking for time. And it's like I hug my kids and I hug my husband so much, because I don't know if it's the last time that I'll see them. And I just try to be grateful for everything, because I know the time's coming where I'm going to have to walk out that door and not come back. And they might not ever forgive me for that. And I have to learn to be okay with that. And it's not easy to do that. And then with the situation that I'm at hand with, it's like, I feel like I'm needing to be surrendered at the mercy of other people. And I don't trust other people from what's happened with me. The last time that I left, I was raped. And I had to stay in a tent and survive a lot of different things. And I trusted a lot of people. And I want to trust God, and I want to go in the direction that I'm supposed to go. And I don't want to lean on my own understanding. It's just, it's not easy. It's not easy.
Well, it sounds like you have an understanding of it, though.
Yeah.
Like you've felt it.
Yeah. And I know a lot of people need this. I've seen myself in visions of like standing on stages, playing music and doing, public speaking about what's happened. And I've seen it all on the other side. It's just making that leap, and it's so unknown. And like, I just feel like it would be like survivor's guilt, like that I got out and my family didn't. Like I wanted them to come with me, and I wanted to do it together. And it's like the decisions that they're making, it's like I feel like I had to protect and try to like, okay, if mom's here, it's not going to be all in chaos because somebody's saying no, and
And maybe that would also open them up to making their own sovereign decisions and choices that are in alignment for themselves, instead of depending on their mom to make those decisions for them and contain everything.
yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, maybe part of their growth does include for their lives to become a bit of a mess. Because I feel like when I left New York, I kind of felt like my son's life kind of became a bit messy emotionally. And my daughters too. But I feel that the adversity that they have gone through in their own way has made them who they are today. So, and still growing. So I see my daughter's grown leaps and bounds. I mean, to go through, the abusive relationship I was in, and her father passing away and having to pack and stack it, and gone through a rebellious phase with her. And I don't know, I just feel like in the last 2 years or so, she's just grown like leaps and bounds. So anyway, so that's what adversity, I guess, can do for people.
I would like to speak to that a little further, actually. And that's what kids do growing up, and we protect them from falling, but it's so they can fall when they're little, so they can understand that fall isn't as far, so they can figure out like what if this misstep I'm going to fall. If I fall when I'm bigger in that same space, then it's going to hurt a lot more. So the more that you allow them to fall and be in their own mess from that, I mean, we're resilient. Like they're going to get up and become stronger from that. And that same with me. Like there's a lot of instances. My I was able to be very, very selfish when I was a teenager because my mom protected me. And when I went to college and went into the real world, man, it was like, oh, an awakening. That was my awakening. But because of that, I learned to cook on my own. I learned all these different things that my mom didn't allow me to do because it was just more convenient for her to do that stuff at home and do this. And it's like, I wanted to do it or be a part of it, or maybe I didn't. Maybe I just depended upon her and never wanted to get out of that space. Either way, in that environment, I wasn't going to learn what I needed to learn and
Yeah.
and to become a better version of myself, whatever that looked like. So whatever mess it may have been. And that stepping away from the nest can really happen probably, I guess this would just be speculative, but like you have a 13-year-old. I would have to look into Native American style, like when they see their, because that's, I always attune to that as what the new Earth potentially will look like, is more of like the Native American tribe setups and, like small numbers of in a community of 30 to 50 or something along those lines. So what we've also been indoctrinated with is not going to be what it looks like on the other side. So I would, that point being that like 13 years old, that person, that sovereign being at that point in time should be able to be self-sufficient and have learned lessons. And I'm just putting a number on it, and it may vary based off of that. And I would again want to look into what the Native Americans thought, because I see them as wise souls. So
Yeah, I was gonna
Well, they
say,
used to have children. They used to have children at 14, 15 years old. My grandparents were 15 when they had children, you know? And so it's like, and they turned out amazing, still even together to this day, you know? So, um, I don't know. It's just, we don't want our children at this day and age knowing what we know. Like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff like, no, 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 don't have babies at 14 years old. You're just a baby yourself. And parents and everybody else has to help with all of those things. And if we were working together, right, in the new world, that would not be an issue. But it seems to be a really big issue when people are trying to control and, instead of contribute. So it's a big thing.
I'm with you on that. You were going to say something, Sophia, and then I
well,
go ahead. Go
no,
ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, I was on a plane to Spain, from New York to Spain by myself at 13. So, I mean, just saying. And it's funny because then my son, when he was 13, went on a plane by himself to Italy. So, you know, I'm just saying, like, 13 is kind of like the in between age. I feel like, I don't know, I feel like it's a safer age. Once they start hitting like the teens, even the early teens, you know, to kind of be sovereign, or give them some sovereignty, let them be on their own a little bit. It's
And
not as,
and you're basing that off of programming, though. Still, there's
yeah, that's true.
the programming. So 4 generations ago, the programming was you could have kids at 13 and 14.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I mean, it ends up, and that's exactly what we've done as a society, is babied everything until the babies are now 25
yeah.
years old, so, or maybe even further.
Yeah,
And we're
Wow,
doing it
that's
because
so true, Stephen. Oh my gosh. And it's same thing with what you said earlier. When we were riding bikes as a kid, you can drive your bike right into a wall and not feel anything. But at 34, I can feel it, you know?
yeah, driving a car at 60 miles an hour, having your first accident in that rate.
is that how old you are? 34?
Yeah,
Okay.
34.
So for some reason, awakening kind of came about in this for me. I have a bunch of notes on everything we've talked about. I'm gonna try to sit down with a little bit of this, and it's more just everybody's speaking points. I greatly appreciate the conversations. Like this is um, beautiful
Yeah.
being able to
Really
share.
deep, very deep
Yeah.
conversation.
I was just gonna say, making a decision based on love versus guilt, because that's kind of what I did when I was getting out of my marriage. Not trying to make a decision based on guilt.
Mm.
And
Instead
my
of guilt,
guilt,
can we use fear?
yeah,
Or what
fear.
about
Okay,
falling
yes.
apart to fly in love?
Yeah, that's good too.
What did you say, Sarah?
Falling apart to fly in love.
I was gonna share, do you guys have time just for a quick share? Because I was gonna say what a dream that I had when I was trying to leave my ex-husband. And I felt like I had a visitation from my dad, you know, because he had passed a few years earlier. And because I kept praying and praying and praying and praying about like every night, every night. And so I feel like, well, he appeared in a dream, and he's, because I had guilt because my daughter's father's passed away. So now she saw my husband at the time as her dad, right? So I felt this guilt of like leaving the marriage because of her. Like I was ready to leave before that, but then I was staying it for her at the end. So, and I had this dream, and my dad appeared, and I felt like it was a visitation, and he said to me, you know that Roy has psychopathic tendencies, right? Um, and I said, yeah, but what about Deanna? Like, I was like, so he was trying to tell me, you know, if you stay in this marriage, there's danger, kind of thing. That's what I was getting. And then I asked him, well, what about Deanna, my daughter? What about her? And he turned to me and he said, don't worry, she'll adapt. So that was such a vivid dream that it shook me to my core. And I was like, this is my sign. I need to leave, because it was that guilt that was keeping me there for her, actually, at the end. So,
Yeah.
Anyway.
Thank you for saying that. I needed to hear that because my daughter the other day, she had mentioned to me, she was like, you know what I wished for every time that I blew out my birthday candles or picked up a penny on the floor? Was for my parents to be back together again. And that guilted me in staying because I almost left a couple of weeks ago when things got sour. And that guilted me into staying. So I really appreciate you saying that right now. I needed to hear that.
You're welcome. I felt like I needed to say it.
Mhm. My daughter still tries that same thing. And what I've said, I've started saying to my kids in that regards of trying to get me and their mom back together is that the sole purpose of us coming together was for you to be here. So, like, that was the reason why we came together. We weren't supposed to be together for any other reason but for you guys to be here. And now that you're here, our contracts are done in the human experience, and we're going to be the best versions to lead you guys and allow you to see our paths. So it flipped the script for me anyway. Like instead of having that like and coming from more of a reaction based and a program based like response and feeling that guilt is like, let's turn this into something positive. And I feel like they've received it and have allowed it in. So I don't know if that's something that may
That's
want.
amazing.
And
That's
then,
huge. Thank you for that.
and then, have you ever seen Dolores Cannon talk about ripping up the contract?
Mhm.
Yeah, I ripped I was doing that at the end. I ripped the contract. I rip it, cutting the
Yeah,
cords.
I know it's like a big thing for me right now. It's like I know all the tools. It's like God has definitely provided me with a lot of tools. It's now putting it into action and
You know,
practicing it. And it's, yeah,
and the
yeah, that's
cutting of
what I
the
gotta do.
cords. You're familiar with, yeah.
Yeah. Cutting cord. Yeah, I did that. I
With the knife, you do it with the knife?
Mhm.
I do it with the knife.
no, I did not do it with a knife. I just used my hand like a knife, I guess.
Karate chop.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
'cause just
Go
use
ahead.
those tools. No, I was gonna say, use those tools. They are helpful, even though, and you know, sometimes people think, you know, you're a little Looney Tune, but just use them.
It is, but when you're in a reactive state and then you've got other people that are reacting, it is difficult in those moments to try to pull from your toolbox. And that's just the truth. And unless you're practicing it in those moments, it all goes right out the window. And so I've been really, really focused on grounding myself whenever I'm seeing the reactive state. Like I try to just walk away. I try to say, I love you and I can't do this right now. And that is love, because I'm like, I know my pattern, right? But it's just difficult with other people's reactive states as well. But I'm trying to just see it through the eyes of love. You know, like it's just not it's an understanding that we all have to get to,
Sonia,
you know, and that doesn't mean that they're going to right now.
Hi.
they came over to join the
Hi.
session an hour and 11 minutes late.
Exactly. We had an important mission. Important mission.
At 11:11.
Yeah, it's 11:11 here. Perfect timing.
I know, synchronicity.
There you go.
Love you guys.
They
Love
were
you.
they were at the
Love
breakfast
you.
table doing a breakthrough. I'm assuming
Yeah.
on somebody, either Mel or John.
All
so
of us. It was
everybody.
males, but we all got it.
Do you feel high now? Do you feel high?
Oh, it was on what was I can't even think now. My head.
It's releasing the fear or resistance to
Wait,
be in chaos,
And
or to create the chaos, to be in
Create-
chaos.
Oh, wow. What did you
God.
say?
creating chaos.
Sorry, I just had a
Look at what
We were
moment.
just talking
word
about
is
that.
on here.
Chaos. Chaos.
Overwhelmed in chaos.
What's the synchronicity?
We are in
What
sync.
synchronicity?
We are
We
in
did too.
sync.
Totally crazy.
It was so beautiful.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm gonna have to go
Wow.
get notes from their breakthrough and add them into this song now.
Yeah. We gathered
That is so cool.
some more gold. We got some more gold.
Awesome. All right, so you're having your thing, Sarah, at 2 o'clock.
45 minutes.
Yep.
Okay.
1 o'clock.
I'll
1
be
o'clock
there.
Central.
'Cause I'm just organizing today, trying to find my glasses, so I'll be there.
You're gonna find them.
You will
Okay.
now that we just went through the chaos and overwhelm.
Good. Wait for me to find
We're on
them.
the other side.
We're on the other side.
Yeah, right?
We came through and we are on the other side.
Wait, what? You froze.
Peace. Peace.
What'd you say?
She said see you on the other
Oh,
side.
No, we came
Oh,
in
peace.
chaos and came on the other side in peace. Now we are in
Awesome.
peace.
So we say we are peace.
We are peace.
We are peace.
Well,
Your piece.
We are peace.
Peace.
One of my 3
yeah, I was
things.
gonna do the same thing.
Yes.
All right, love you, ladies. See you in like 45 minutes.
All right, see ya.
Thank-
Go get
thank you
something to
very-
eat.
Thank you very much for these moments.
You're welcome. Thank
Love
you
you.
guys. Love you guys.
Bye.
Ciao, ciao.